Hi, welcome to Crime in the Mitten. We are your hosts. I'm Shelby.
And I'm Alia.
Every week, you'll hear a new true crime story based in Michigan, from the mysterious missing cases to the gruesome murders that left the police struggling to stay on the scene. We're giving you the inside scoop on what's going on in our Mitten state. Tune in every Wednesday for your weekly dose of Michigan true crime.
Hey, true crime lovers. It's Alia, and this week I have a new story for you.
Are you in a silly mood today?
Yeah. And I have a new story for you. You won't believe it happened, but it did. At 12 years old, I was into true crime, but I wasn't into the news. So I didn't really... All the stories that we talk about now, I heard about, but I wasn't into the news at 12, so I didn't hear about stuff like this.
Yeah. So I feel the same way too, because there's like a bunch of things that, like a bunch of cases that we talk about now. I was like, I remember
hearing about
this going down, but then also I remember like running out the room and like, all right, I'm about to go do something else.
I don't want to watch the news. So.
Yeah. No, that's literally what it was. It wasn't the story. It was just the news itself I didn't want to watch.
So this week, I will be talking about Tara Grant. Tara Grant was a thriving mother, wife, and employee. She traveled a lot for work, leaving her husband and au pair to care for their two children, Lindsay and Ian. Taryn had an amazing job working for Washington Group International. She was the breadwinner of her family, although they lived in Michigan, she ran the Puerto Rico office. Before Tara was a Grant, she was Tara Tramp, who was born and raised in Perkins Township in Michigan's Upper Peninsula with her mom, dad, and sister. Tara did well in school and participated in a few extracurricular activities. She attended a community college in her small town and later decided to come down to the Lord's Peninsula to attend Michigan State University in Lansing.
You know what? Not to cut you off, but like we hear so many people that went to Michigan State. Where's the people that went to U of M? Like, where's the Wolverines at? Okay.
And Lansing is where she met her husband, Stephan Grant, in 1994. Stephan asked her out, but she wasn't impressed by him, so she turned him down.
As she should, sis. you never should go off the first offer. Like,
keep that same energy.
Yep. If it's really meant to be, you'll act like you'll try.
She should have kept that same energy. No, I'm straight. When Tara's grandmother passed, she had to return home to the UP to attend the funeral. When she arrived, Stephan was at the funeral. The two began dating when she returned home.
That's like, did he know? Was he close like to the family or
no?
Oh, he was just there.
Yeah.
Red flag.
Love red flag. Don't really know what to call it at the time.
Funerals aren't a place where you just be like, I'm about to go pick up chicks. But I don't think so. I don't know.
He made that whole drive. I think it's like a 6-hour drive to sit with her at her grandmother's funeral.
Wow.
Yeah. And she didn't know he was going to be there.
Wow. So it was like a surprise.
Yeah. She just got there and he was there.
That's not I don't want a surprise at a funeral.
Maybe it'll boost your mood.
No, it won't.
Apparently it did.
That's a risky.
They started dating.
Yeah, that's true. I was gonna say that's still risky though. Like that's a bold move.
As a child, Stephan was not the most well-behaved child. His parents moved the small family, including Stephan and his younger sister, to Detroit from Canada, so that his father could work during the booming auto industry. Stephan was in trouble a lot for stealing and doing all the daring things his friends were afraid to do.
Of course, there always needs to be a daredevil out the group.
Duh.
My little brother Sean was that one out of his pack.
Not even surprised. He attended a community college with no major or real direction. His stealing record extended during this time of his life. Stephan eventually attended MSU to study education and history. He dropped out 4 years later to take a job for the former state senator Jack Faxon. That's when he and Tara met. He was into her right away, but like I said before, she wasn't that into him until he made the surprise visit to her hometown.
Right. Shocker. I didn't know that. I don't see how that sealed the deal.
Right. Of course, it was awkward for him being around his family, especially because a guy that she said was kind of her boyfriend, when she turned him down, she told him she kind of had a boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So the kind of boyfriend was there
At the funeral?
at the funeral too. So when they went out to eat afterwards. He was sitting at the table with her and her kind of boyfriend. So he left because he was uncomfortable.
That's what happens when you show up to stuff without an invite.
Without an invite. So he returned home to Lansing, and Tara called him that night and told him that she was in love with him.
Okay. All right. I don't know. Maybe that's like is it me? Like, I'm like, is that like I can't see the sweetness in that.
No.
Leave me alone right now.
Stephen and Tara got married after he proposed to her in December of 1994. They moved closer to Detroit, where Tara started a job at Washington Group International. Meanwhile, Stephan had to ask his father for a job at his tool and die shop because he was let go from his other job. In November of 2000, they had their baby girl, Lindsay. Life was going well, and they were a pretty successful family, and was able to move to Washington County, and was surprised to have a baby boy, Ian, in 2002. They seemed to have the most perfect life, money, nice house, and a cute little family. No one knew how closed off Tara was from her husband. No one knew what was going on because she didn't really share her life like that.
Mm-hmm.
The couple eventually went to renew their wedding vows at their 10th year anniversary. Tara moved up in her career, and she was asked to run the company's Puerto Rico office in 2006. Tara was excited to take the job, but it meant she would have to constantly travel. This was hard for Stephen to manage, being that he was the only one at home with 2 kids during the week. The couple had to hire an au pair to help Stephen manage the household. Verena was a 19-year-old young lady from Germany who became the Grant's live-in nanny. Tara knew that she was slacking off a little in her marriage and tried to make things better. She wanted to exercise, stop yelling, and have monthly date nights, along with getting better at communicating.
Mm-hmm.
While she was trying to better herself, Stephan wasn't doing so much. He had started communicating with an old girlfriend of his. They had always been friends and would like check in every year, something like that. But then he started talking to her more frequently. And he would like mention how he didn't want to be married anymore. And then one of the emails actually said, "I enjoy being married. I just think of marriage like speed limits. Sometimes you have to break them. You just need to keep an eye on the road to avoid detection."
What?
Yeah.
That was in an email he sent?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
To his ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah. While he was...
What a guy.
While he was doing that, he found out that Tara may have been doing the same years prior. To get back at her, he started flirting with Verena.
The nanny, the live-in nanny, right? Mm-hmm. Which I kind of seen that coming.
Yeah, honestly,
I did too. I kind of seen that coming.
When I saw they had someone living there at their house, I'm like, oh, that's not going to end well.
Yeah, and especially with Tara flying.
Yeah,
like she's constantly traveling. Yeah, she's traveling all the time, and then like she's younger too. She's what, 19? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I seen that coming.
Every night that Tara was gone, the two shared a bed. They both said the relationship went no further than cuddling and kissing. They would always go to Verena's bed.
Stephan and
Stephen and
that's how you pronounce his name. Stephen and
the nanny.
Wow.
The au pair. Tara's normal travel schedule was to leave Monday, headed to Puerto Rico, and head back to Michigan on Friday. After getting back from Puerto Rico for the last time, in February 2007. Tara resented having to tell her husband that she had to leave the following Sunday instead of on Monday. She knew he would be pissed about it and it would start problems.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as she got home that night, she told him and it apparently struck an argument. Or she apparently told him and it struck an argument.
Right.
Stephan said that Tara packed a bag, got on the phone, told someone to pick her up in the driveway, got in a black SUV, and was never seen again. Stephan sent a message to Verena while she was out with friends, telling her that she owed him a kiss. This was before his wife Tara even got back home yet.
Right.
So he told Verena to come home, and she was out with her friends, so she kind of ignored it.
Mm-hmm.
And he told her to hurry before Tara got home so they could kiss. Verena walked in hours later. It took her a while to get home. She was still out with her friends. She wasn't ready to leave. She got home hours later after the argument, to Stephan yelling, asking why she was there and like going off, and then told her about the argument he just had with his wife and that she walked out on him.
Right. So he like setting this up like, she stormed off.
Yeah.
In this discussion. Like, okay.
Stephan was so distraught about the argument with his wife, he cried to the au pair and invited her into his bed that night.
Oh, wow, that's a step up.
Right.
Right. She like, I made it. The come up is real.
So they were in his bed, and it just so happened that little Lindsay walked in.
The daughter.
Yeah, she walked into her parents' room, but they said that Verena ducked under the covers, so they don't know if the little girl ever saw her there or not. So he was constantly calling Tara's phone, leaving voicemails. He called her family and friends to see if they had spoken to her, which no one had. It wasn't until February 15th when Stephan even reported her missing. He told the police he wished he hadn't waited a whole 5 days to report her missing, but he was expecting her to be back.
Right, so he was like telling the police like he was thinking it was just like her cooling down after the argument.
Back. He thought she just got back on the plane.
Do you know if like that was something that she did like often though? Like when they got into it, did she leave out? Like, because like if that's something that you don't do, then if I don't come back, the
first argument over her schedule and all that and her traveling, but he just thought she was coming back home.
Right. But and then it seems weird though too because of the fact that you're like she was trying to work on this relationship, so I don't see her just like ghosting,
just
like
leaving her kids and everything.
Yeah, the kids.
It was so late at night she didn't even see the kids that night.
Yeah, I was gonna say normally take the kids. Like no, they like the moms take the kids. Like
yeah. But he said he was expecting her to be back and thought she had just gone to Puerto Rico and would be back, but she never came back. He was open with the police, told them about the argument, and even let them in the house, allowed them to check the phone and the bank records. The last calls were from Friday night, and the last card transaction was on her work-issued credit card to get a ride from the airport on that Friday night.
Right.
The airport said that Tara had not changed her flight to head back to Puerto Rico early, or hadn't changed her flight period to go back to Puerto Rico early, and it wasn't even changed from Monday to Sunday, like Stephan said.
Right, because she had said that she was going a different day,
but it wasn't changed.
The ticket didn't say that though. No. Okay,
she never even changed her flight.
Right.
Investigators even checked with all the car services in the area. No one had picked Tara up in a black sedan that night.
And then, like, neighbors, like
I didn't even see anything about neighbors.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I guess if it was that late, then I would hope there wasn't people just looking out the window. It's a time limit to like constantly snoop out of your window, Alia. It's levels to it. It's rules.
But she hadn't even used her car service in a while. Like even Verena said she would drive herself back and forth to the airport.
Right.
So there was no car service at all. Police asked would he be willing to take a polygraph test, and he agreed, but after hiring and talking to his lawyer, he backed out of it. Police had no evidence that he did anything. All they had to go by was the fact that he mentioned an argument that night. Maybe the argument was more serious than it seemed, or that he made it seem. So all they could do was put him under heavy surveillance. They watched him hard. He stopped participating with the police, but he was always on the news. Always pleaded for her to come home, but he wouldn't talk to the police. He always just went to the news about everything.
He was just publicly, doing this, but, in the background work where, the actual investigation, he wasn't even offering any assistance. Mm-mm. He doesn't know how suspicious that makes him look. That makes you look so suspect.
His lawyer told him not to talk to the police, so he went to the news.
Yeah, his lawyer should have just been just shut up altogether.
But he said, he knew that he would be the top suspect. He said the husband was always the top suspect. So he knew he was already, he already looked suspicious. So I guess he was just going to keep doing what he was doing.
Yeah, but then also there's been husbands that, they've gotten their name cleared. They had nothing to do with the situation. So if you have nothing to hide, then
just go for it.
Go for it. Ask me whatever you want. Do whatever you got to do. Because it's in the end, the police are actually doing the work to get, wife. Yeah, to find her. So I'm not knocking what, addressing the public is, but you can't address the public and not help with the investigation right. too. It doesn't work like that.
On the news, he went from wanting her to come home to talking about how he was a better mom than Tara was because she was never at home. So it just went from one extreme to the next.
So that escalated.
Right.
You went from feeling sorry to, but since she's gone though, I've been handling it. Who does that?
Right. I've been doing this anyway. It's no problem. I can keep doing it myself.
With that, yeah, I was saying with that attitude though, it's just suspect.
Right. While under surveillance, police noticed that every morning Stephan would stop on his way to work at a gas station and purchase all the major newspapers.
And this is after Tara went missing?
Mm-hmm. He would just go buy up all three local newspapers, the major newspapers, he would go buy them. And to police, it seemed like he was trying to use the papers to keep up with them, basically. Instead of just going in and asking or calling investigators and asking, he was just looking through the papers.
Wow, he went out of his way to avoid contact with the police, doing anything with the police.
Worried, he would have been going to the police.
And that's her husband, so I'm pretty sure they wouldn't give him a problem with keeping him updated on the case if you were helping with the case.
If you were helping. What's the point of buying the newspapers? Just go ask for help.
Right.
Police followed up on all the leads in the investigation for Tara Grant. In the investigation, while speaking to police, Stephan mentioned plenty of times about a park near their house. The family spent plenty of time at Stony Creek Park. It's not just a regular park, but it's a huge metro park. Mm-hmm. It's 4,461 acres. Wow.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I've heard of that park before, though.
I have. I just don't.
Yeah,
I've never been.
I don't say I don't go out much, so I've heard of a lot of places. I've just never been.
Just don't go to. But it's so big, it stretched across 2 counties, both Oakland and Macomb County, and it's open year round with activities for every season.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Police thought since he mentioned it so much, it was a great place to search. When Stephan heard about the search at the park, he requested to be there.
Mm. Right. So is this after the fact that he is this after he stopped helping with the investigation? Mm-hmm. Wow, so now he's I'll help.
If you want my help, I'll go to the park. And they basically told him no.
That's good.
Right.
Because I feel like he would have been if somebody wasn't watching him, he would have been covering things up on the low, right. Tucking something here or something.
They didn't know what he wanted to go for.
Yeah.
So they just said no.
No, you're good. Stay at home. Keep the same energy you've been keeping this whole investigation. We got it.
The search went on in the cold February weather for 8 long hours, and they found nothing. Mm. The police asked the community to report anything they saw. If it didn't look right, report it. Mm-hmm. A woman called in reporting a finding on February 28th. She was out walking, and saw a gallon-sized plastic bag with more plastic bags, latex gloves, and blood inside.
Wow.
She noticed the bag because it was red, which made it stand out in the snow. She safely took the plastic bag from the woods to her garage and waited for the police to come check it out. It was discovered that the blood inside the bag was human blood, and there was microscopic metal shavings in the bag.
Hmm.
And because the bag was found in the woods so close to the Grant home, it gave them a reason to get a search warrant on their house and his job, Stephen's job where he worked in his father's shop.
Mm-hmm.
A warrant was served on March 2nd, 2007. The investigators keeping watch on Stephan stopped him on his way home from work and informed him that his property was going to be searched. While the search was going on, he was fidgety and wouldn't make eye contact with anyone, and it just made him look nervous and suspicious.
That sounds suspect, like you just antsy and stuff like that. Like you don't want, like you know it's something there that you don't want them to find.
But because the officers he wasn't required to be there, he wasn't under arrest or anything, they could just let him leave the house. So he left the house.
Mm-hmm.
But he couldn't take his car because that was part of the warrant.
Okay.
So instead of taking his own car, he went and asked a friend on the block could he borrow their car. So the neighbor, like, not thinking anything of it, he just told him, like, hey, they're about to search the house. I can't be there while they're doing it. Can I borrow a car? And the guy like, yeah, go for it.
Sure, I don't see nothing wrong with it. Just take my car. Yeah, no pressure that the police are searching your stuff right now.
Everything. So the neighbor loaned him a truck, a bright yellow pickup truck. So he left in the truck, just him and his dog. And then he called his sister to see if he could drop the dog off at her house. But she wasn't home, so he went to where he was, got her house keys, dropped the dog off, and also stole a bottle of Vicodin from his sister's house.
He stole a bottle of Vicodin? Okay. All right. So wait. He dropped the dog off. Where are the kids?
That's a great question.
Who got the kids?
I mean, apparently, if it was a work day, the kids were at school.
Okay, makes sense.
And then there's a nanny, or
the nanny.
School.
But still, I don't know. I was thinking like he's doing a lot to ensure this dog has a doggy sitter.
Right. So soon after Stephan left his own home, the search team made their way to the garage where they found a tote that wasn't there but the last time they checked the house.
Mm-hmm.
So the officer opened the tote and it was a plastic bag in it. When he poked at it, he said it was soft and had some give to it. When the bag was open, it was stuffed with a fully dressed human torso and more metal shavings.
Wow.
Tara's Grant body was found just moments after letting Stephan Grant just walk out of his house.
Yeah, like moments.
They have no idea where he went.
Wow. I mean, but at least he's in his bright yellow pickup truck too, though.
Yeah, like
it kind of helps.
You don't go say, okay, can we switch? Like, you keep the yellow one and I take this one.
Yeah.
You on a run and you take a bright yellow truck.
He's like, I gotta just rubber. What does my grandma always say? Rubber wheels are better than rubber heels. He was just like, I need a car.
He just needed somewhere to go, something to take. So, like I said, they had no idea where he was. They just let him go. So he was on the run at this point. The next place to search was the tool and die shop. Although the place was a mess, they did notice that there were metal shavings.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing they were looking for was the rest of Tara's body. So they did a more extensive search at Stony Creek Park using dogs this time. And the dogs found most of her remains scattered throughout the park.
Wow, so he just dropped body parts of her off in different parts of the park.
Mm-hmm. So,
and I feel like when I've heard about this case, that's the part for sure that I knew, like, they made it, like, you know, like, I heard about, like, for sure, it was, like, the fact that they were, like, finding her body, like, all throughout this park.
Mm-hmm. Quite honestly, don't remember anything but the names.
I I remember bits and pieces. Like, you know what? I remember what the adults at the time were talking about. I was like, girl, they finding all these body parts in the park. Like, I remember the conversation. I don't remember like the actual thing.
So they took what they had of her. They took it to the medical examiner's office, and they discovered that she suffered a blow to her jaw and was killed by strangulation. It was noticed that her body was cut up by like different types of knives and different blades and everything. Mm-hmm. So the investigators received a call from Verena. She was moved back to Germany. Like when the case broke out, mm-hmm. she moved back home. Oh, she got her stuff and got the heck on. She left. Okay. She called to say that she had gotten a phone call from Stephen Grant saying that he was about to kill himself. She admitted to the investigators everything. She told them that the night that Tara went missing, the night she quote-unquote left him, mm-hmm. they had sex in the married couple's bed. Stephen admitted to her that he killed Tara that night, telling her that it was self-defense and that he pushed her, which caused her to fall and hit her head. That meant they had a confession. Right. That's something, though, although that isn't at this point how they said that's how she died, but still, at this point they have a confession. Yeah, it's something. And she was so this whole time she didn't think to call police. She didn't know at the time. She thought he left. She called when he called her. By this point, she was already in Germany. Okay, so like when he was talking about police as soon as she got the phone call from him. Okay. So while all this was going on, Stephen was still missing. The whole time she was missing, he was pleading for his wife to return. Meanwhile, he had killed her and cut up her body. Right. Stephen's sister called investigators to say her brother had just called her and he was headed up north to a cabin to hide out. The area code where Stephen had called Verena from was mm-hmm. the same area code, or it was the same area that the cabin was in. Right. So they knew the stories were matching up and they could find him this way. That's most likely where he's hiding out at. Right. On March 4th, 2007, Stephen Grant was found in a park over 200 miles away from his home. And he was in Emmett County, Michigan. They found him by tracking a phone call he had last made to his sister. They had helicopters, local, state, and federal police were out looking for him. And they called everybody out. And he had tried to kill himself with the pills he stole from his sister and lots of alcohol. Okay. And there was a blizzard going on at the time, and it was hard for him to see while he was driving, especially intoxicated the way he was. So he figured if he got out the car and went into Wilderness State Park, he would pass out and freeze to death. But before he got out the car, he wrote letters to his children explaining, like, oh, you may not know what's going on right now, but later somebody would explain. That's sick that you, like, I mean, I know that, like, he was going down anyway, but it's like, that's a coward move. Like, to just kill yourself instead of turning yourself in, right. Giving the rest of the family closure and stuff like that. Like, doing the right thing. Right. When they found him, he only had on pants, shirt, and socks. In a Michigan blizzard? No coat, no boots, or anything that would protect him from the blizzard. Wow. Well, I mean, that's the way to, like, if that's what he was trying to go for. Because it's freezing. It's freezing now. I had to stop at the store on the way here and get an extra pair of socks because my feet are freezing. It's really cold. And it's not even snow on the ground yet. It's no snow. Yeah. Hey, that's the scary blizzard? Thing. It's just, so through a blizzard? No. Remember, I walked up north. I walked like one block home in a blizzard once, and I literally thought that I wasn't gonna make it. Like I was gonna sit down and start writing letters. Like, you know what? This is the end. Like this is it. I'm like, I don't think I can make it another step. Literally, I could see my house in the view though, but I was just like, this is just too much. So like, that's crazy. It's freezing right now, and there's no snow. So he had nothing to protect him from the blizzard. So he had frostbite and was suffering from hypothermia and was rushed to Northern Michigan Hospital. While in the police custody in the hospital, Stephen confessed to the murder of his wife. He told them about the argument and how intense it had gotten. The couple both said hurtful things, and what Tara said to Stephen made him feel emasculated. So
that's why he said he did what he did.
Because he didn't feel like a man.
Okay. And that makes you feel like one?
By
killing her? Okay.
Right.
I don't see the reason, but I'm not supposed to.
He strangled her because she made him feel like less of a man.
Yeah, okay.
Then he took her body to his job, and that's when he dismembered her body and leaving nothing attached to her torso. After that, he took her remains to Stony Creek Park and had disposed of them there. When he learned about the search that was going to take place at the park, Stephen went to the park and moved her torso and put it in his garage so he could bury her later on. And after the whole confession, they had a whole 2-hour-long confession.
Wow, it was a 2-hour long.
So he went into deep detail about everything that he did to her.
That's sick.
Yeah. He was moved from the hospital to the jail in Macomb County. Stephen was formally charged with one count of homicide and murder in the first degree, with a life sentence, which is a life sentence, and the dismemberment of a dead body, which is in Michigan, is 10 years. But 10 years don't seem like enough. It
really don't. But then also, if you dismember somebody, they're dead.
They're dead.
So that's when that's just like throwing in 10 years for free. Like throwing in like a little salt-based sprinkle type stuff. Like that's really what it is. Like no, he's already going down, but it's just like just to secure the bag, throw on 10 extra years. Yeah.
But then on December 21st, 2007, the jury found him guilty of second-degree murder. And the prosecutors had sought out first-degree, but the jury couldn't really prove that it was premeditated. Like it was just in the heat of an argument, so it wasn't really premeditated. But he still did it.
No, because it seemed like it was definitely a heat in the moment. Like although it was known that he was he didn't like his marriage, but it was like I don't think that night
he wasn't into the marriage. He was like basically jealous that she was bringing in all the money. So, but because the argument was right then and he did it right then, they couldn't prove that it was premeditated. The defense was hoping for a sentence of 15 to 25 years, but the judge agreed with the prosecution and recommendation of 50 to 80 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's okay. I'm fine with the life sentence. I feel like, and then no, because you gave the police a hard time with this too. Like, you in the news one minute, you don't want to help in the investigation the next minute. They do a search, now you want to help. Like, you didn't make this easy at all.
Didn't make anything easy.
Yeah, so no. But, I mean, time is time, so.
Yeah, and then he received 6 to 10 additional years for mutilating the body. The judge called his actions demonic, manipulative, barbaric, and dishonest. He is now serving time in Bellamary Creek Correctional Facility. Stephen Grant showed almost no emotion during his hearing.
I mean, the fact that he carried on with the nanny right afterwards, it was like it was really heavy on his mind. Like,
it's not like it was something he really cared about.
It didn't stop his show.
Right. He did look troubled when Alicia Standiford, which is Tara Grant's sister, was describing how the children were struggling knowing that their father took their mother away from them like that.
Yeah.
She said, "He's so much of a coward, he doesn't even look at me in the eye in the courtroom." The murder of Tara Grant was like a domino effect. The Grant children Lindsay and Ian were left with no parents,
Mhm.
with their mother deceased and their father behind bars. The children had to move to a whole nother state to live with their Aunt
Wow.
Alicia.
So like they had to rearrange their whole
Their
entire life
lives.
because of this.
And then on top of that, Stephen's father, William Grant, killed himself because of everything that was happening with his son. Like, he couldn't get over the fact that it happened. Not only did it happen, but it happened in his shop.
Yeah. And like he didn't like if he's like he didn't even know that happened in his shop. He didn't know
that any of that was going on.
Yeah, no, that's really sad. And I honestly I really feel for the kids too, like the fact that they have to they had to uproot their lives and stuff, and like that's hard to deal with. Yeah. Especially at a young age, that's so hard to deal with.
So, and not like after his father killed himself, or he called in to report a suicide, and when the police asked him whose suicide, he said his own. And when the police got there, they got there just in time to hear the gunshot. They rushed him to the hospital, but he didn't make it. He died 3 hours later after getting to the hospital.
Wow.
Yep. So all of that happened, and now his sister is left with a brother locked up and her father gone.
Wow. So it's in the end, like everyone literally was
affected.
Yeah, it was hard for dealing with like Tara Grant and stuff like that. But it was like after that, so many other things took like so many other.
And kids were so young, like it really affected them.
Yeah, and then honestly, like not even just like affected them now. A lot of times, like people don't know is when kids go through things at such a young age, it's easier for them to go through, like to process different things because kids' minds are like all over the place. Like they can be sad for a second, and then next thing you know, like you can bring slime or something, and their mind is like focused on that. But when as they start to get older, that stuff starts to come back. Yeah, it starts to come back because then they get these events where it's like father-daughter dances or something like that, or like they get our like senior night when kids are giving out flowers to their parents and stuff like that. Like that stuff comes back, and it's like that's something they're gonna have to constantly deal with for the rest of their lives.
And she has her aunt, but like it's certain stuff that Lindsay would need or want her mother around.
Yeah, and it's not just like
Ian wants her dad around for her.
Yeah, so it's just, and it should be that way, but that's really sad. I really feel for the kids.
So that wraps up this week's case, and we have our shout out to a podcast that we started listening to last week.
Honestly, I love it's so hard to like pick like one podcast to like
and then keep up with the list so we can still do one at a time.
Because it's some where I'm like in the midst of like on Instagram and I'll see them and I'm like, oh, that's so good. Like I read like someone made a post about like I can't remember Wesley Dodd, and I was like, I want to listen to this whole season on this because it was really good. But I was like, I'm already dedicated to like 2-3 right now for the week, so I'm like I'm over my max. I'm over my max.
On top of True Crime, I got to listen to all the other podcasts that I listen to.
Yeah, because we got to still we still got like stuff to do.
Right. So this week's shout out is for Strange Little Worlds. They're a bi-weekly true crime podcast. You can follow them on Instagram at SLW Podcast.
Cool. If you want to. Like, I don't know. You can't ask me if I want to do those 3,000 questions because it's not like I'm a big fan of the questions. So I'm most likely going to always be like, no. But the right thing to do is be like, yeah. So we can do it. Did you pick one already?
Nope. Okay, I just picked one. Question 2,964.
Oh, so grand.
What do you pig out on?
What do I pig out on? Oh, that's a really good question. Gosh. You know what? I'm a really big fan of fries. I pig out on fries. I love fries, like any
That's
kind
true.
of fries.
No matter where we go.
I always
You
get
can
fries.
get pasta and a side of fries.
I always get fries. I love fries. That and junk food wise, Snickers. Like if you give me the mini Snickers, oh, I can go to town. Like
honestly,
it's been times where I didn't like
Pepsi and I'm straight.
I'm like constantly like I've got a system going where I can open a Snickers with like one hand and like pop it in the mouth and still be able to text on the other hand. So that's how you know it's
sad?
legit. No, it's not sad. It's a skill that you need in life.
So besides like fries, it's tough. It's between fried chicken wings and bacon.
Those are really good. I mean, it's good food, but it's like that's a lot of grease, Alia, to pick out on something like that.
I mean, I got an air fryer now, so I cook the chicken in it once. But it's really good. But I still, my grandma fries chicken every Wednesday, so I still go to my grandma's house every Wednesday, even if I work late. I'm stopping by and I'm getting a handful of chicken.
So I'm sick that you just not telling me about your grandma frying chicken every Wednesday and we meet.
This was
No.
I'm not going. Shelby, the chicken is gone by Thursday.
You can't just like
you on Thursday.
You can't just like
already gone.
Put one in your pocket for later.
Yeah, the chicken be gone before I even get home from work on Wednesdays. My grandma, when she cook dinner for us, she'll put me and my mom ours up in the oven so nobody can get to it because she knows it's gonna go fast no matter what she cooks, so she always set ours to the side.
Yeah, just tell her to set like an extra drum to the side or something. It's not that hard. But yeah, that was a really good. I'm glad that you did this case though, because it was actually a good one and I wanted to know a lot more about it.
So I feel bad because after I did it, I went back on our list to check it off and I saw it on yours.
Yeah, it's actually my case.
I didn't realize you were going to do it
Well,
eventually.
I mean, hey, it's cool,
I didn't realize it till literally this morning.
No hard feelings.
Thank you for listening to Crime in a Minute. You can find the transcripts, pictures we've discussed, as well as the links to our references at our website. There, you can also find the links to all of our social media. If you have a case you'd like us to talk about, you can leave a comment down below or go to the Contact Us page of the website and leave a suggestion. Each month, we will choose one for an episode. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It helps a lot.